Hello guys, welcome back to this channel and thanks for viewing this video. Today we are going to develop a very simple Java GUI application. It's going to be a calculator, but a very simple one, very basic calculator. Without delay, let's start coding. I have two classes, test app, which is the main class, and I'm creating my frame object here, and then I have the myFrame class, which is inheriting from the JFrame class. Here I am having the attributes of my frame. So I'm going to say Java calculator, let's say GUI here. All right, so now let's start. We need some text field. So I'm going to say JTextField, text field 1, text field 2, text field. I import the JTextField class. So you know what, instead of calling them text field, I'm going to give some real values, some real name. I will say number underscore 1, number underscore 2. And the third text field, I will call it result. Okay, so I need 4 buttons. So I'll say J button. The first one will be addition, subtraction for the second one. The third one would be division. The fourth one will be multiplication. So I have declared my various variables or GUI components globally. I just need to import the JButton class. So now in the constructor, I need to instantiate each one of these GUI components. So I would say number underscore 1 equal new JTextField. I need to fix this typo. All right, so let me copy and paste. So let me copy like this, paste it. So this one will be number 2 and then number 3. No, there's no number 3. I need to write result because that's what we called it here. So we will instantiate our JButton component as well. So I will say addition equal new JButton semicolon. I will copy and paste this line of code 4 times. Here, instead of saying addition, I will say subtraction, division, okay, and then multiplication. So that's it. So note here that our layout manager is set to null. So we will need to add these components manually. But let me first add them to the frame. So I will say this that add, and then inside the brackets, I will say number underscore 1 like this. Let me copy, paste. So after number underscore 1, I'll say number underscore 2. Then here I'll say result. After result, I will add the button. So addition, subtraction, division, multiplication. Right. So if we run, nothing will show because we have not yet set the bounds. So let's set the bounds for each of these GUI components. For number underscore 1, we will say number underscore 1 that set bounds. So that will be 50, 50, and then 100. Let me say 240. Let me run. So now you can see we are having our text field. You know what? We are going to add some labels. So I'll come here and I'll add some J labels. So I will say label underscore 1. Another one will be label underscore 3. No, label underscore 2. And then the third one will be label underscore 3. Let me import the JLabel class. I will come in my constructor and instantiate the label. So I'll say JLabel underscore 1, JLabel. I can set text of this particular label. So I'll say first number. So I'll copy and paste like this. I will still be in the constructor and come down here. I will add these labels to the frame. So I'll say add this that add label underscore 1. I'll copy and paste. And here I'll say label underscore 2, label underscore 3. So I'm good to go. So now when I set the bounds, I need to set the bounds for my labels as well. So I will copy this, paste it here. And what I'm going to do is that I will change this, the bounds for my first text field, my number 1 text field. So I will say 100. In my label, I will reduce this to 100 as well. Now, when I run, there's an error. Okay, yeah, here instead of number underscore set bound, I will say label underscore 1, then run. I need to change here label underscore 2, then label underscore 3. Okay, I'll say second number, and this one I will call it result. Now let's run. Okay, you can see how this is looking like. So what I'm gonna do here, I'm gonna change some few things in the bounds here. So for my label, I will maybe say 25 pixels for the x-axis, and then here I'll say 150. I will increase this. Now let me run. Okay, now this is how it's looking like. I can work a little bit more on my label. I'll say label underscore 1, that's set font, new font, consolas, font that bold, 20. I can also change the color of the label. So I'll say label that set foreground, color blue. Let me import the color class and run. So now you can see how this is looking like. So I need to push the text field. Let me say 250 and increase the size of the label here, 200. Okay. What if I say 150 here, and then this one I will give it x-axis of 200. So now this is how it's looking like. So I'm gonna try to do the same thing for the other labels. So I'll simply copy these lines of code and come down here at label underscore 2 and change these lines of code. So here I'll say 100, and then that's okay, I guess. So let me run. Okay, now this is how it's looking like. So I'll copy the line of code, number underscore 1 that's set bounds. I'll copy that and paste it down the number underscore 2. So here I'll say number underscore 2 and simply change this to 100 and then run. All right, so now you can see how this is looking like on the screen. So I'm gonna add a third label, copy, paste down here. I'll change this to label underscore 3. I'll change the y-axis, so say 150, and the rest I will leave it like that. I'll come back to number underscore 2 here. I'll copy that and paste it below here. And as for this one, I'll say result that set bounds, and this one I'll say 150 for the y-axis. Then let me run. Okay, so now you can see how this is looking like. All right, so I have been able to add the labels and the text field. I need now to work on my buttons. As for the buttons, we also need to set their bounds. So I'll copy this line of code, and down here I'll paste it, and I'll simply change here to addition that set bounds. And here I will work on the width of the button. So I'll say 80 and 20 for the height. So now as for the y-axis, I can say 250 just to see how this is gonna look like. Okay, now you see how my button is looking like. So I need to increase the height of the button. Let's say maybe 50. That looks a bit better. So let me set the text. Because we said here it's the addition, instead of writing some text, I will simply write, plus sign here, so that when I run, the plus sign will appear. Okay, so I will also reduce this to 6 and then this to 4. Okay. As for the y-axis, let's say 240. What if we say 200 like this? It's a little bit closer. Let's say 220 for the y-axis. That looks better. So now I will increase. So addition, that set bound. No, here I will say set font. So that will be new font. I will still say consolas, comma, font that bold, comma, 20. Let's run. Okay, so now you see how the button is looking like. I will do the same for the other buttons. So I'll copy, paste down here. So as for the x-axis, I'll say 280. And this one, instead of addition, I'll say subtraction. Down here as well, say subtraction. Now run. There we have our second button. So in here, I will add the minus sign, then run. Yeah. Okay, so let's do for the division button. So let's change this to division. down here would be division. For the x-axis, that would be 360. And now let me set the text of the button, the division symbol. I'll add it like this and then run. Now we have our division symbol. We need to add the last button. It's going to be multiplication. So as for this one, I will say 440. And let me set the text of this button. That's the multiplication symbol. All right, so now we are having our 4 buttons: the addition, the subtraction, the division, and the multiplication. So what we want to do is that whenever the user types in the first number, the second number, and then the user clicks on each one of these buttons, we want the result to show in our third text field here, which is result. So if you type in here 2 in the first number text field, in the second number you type in 4, and then when you click on plus, we need a particular result to appear. So that means that the third text field, we have to set editable to false. You simply come up here down. So you say result, that's set editable and false. Then when you run, so now you can see that you are not able to type in this particular text field. So it's going to be used only for outputting the result of our calculation. Okay. So now it's time for us to define the action events. We have to set the action listener for each of these 4 buttons, and we also need to implement the action listener on our class. So how to implement the action listener interface? You simply say implement action listener. As simple as that. So you import the action listener class, you add the unimplemented method. That's going to be the action performed method. So down here, your action performed method has been added. Because we want our buttons to listen to the event, we have to add the action listener to these buttons. So we will simply say addition, which is first button, that add action listener, and then this subtraction, that add action listener, this. The other one was division, that add action listener, this. And then the fourth one will be multiplication, that add action listener, this. So we have added the action listener. Now we need to define the action event that needs to happen whenever the user clicks on either one of these buttons. So let's come to the action performed method. So for my action event to be a little bit more explicit, I'm going to give it a different name here. I'll call it EVT to make reference to event. And inside the action performed method, I'm going to declare some variables. I'll say string num1. In here, I will say number underscore 1 that get text. All right, so you already know the get text method is used to capture the value. So as I told you, in this text field, the user will type in the values, the integer values. So what we want to do is that we want our program to be able to capture the value that the user types in these 2 text fields. All right, so because we are having 2 text fields like that, we will say string num2 equal number underscore 2 that get text. So now we need to convert the values entered through the text field, because text fields, the value you type in your text field are considered string values. But because we want to apply operations, we need to convert these string values into integer values. So what we're going to do, we will declare some integer variables. So say value 1 equal to, so we need to convert the number num1 here into integer values. So we will say integer that parse int, and inside the brackets we'll pass the parameter, so that will be num1. That's it. So we will do this very same thing for num2, copy and paste. Here instead of value 1, I will call it value 2, and then I will say integer that parse int num2. So now, because we are having 4 buttons, we want to define the action event to happen whenever the user clicks on each of these buttons. So for that, we need to use the if statement. All right. So in the if statement, we are going to tell our program if the source of the event is button 1, for example, we want you to do this kind of operation. If it is button 2, we want you to do this other kind of operation. So that's what we are going to do. So we will say if EVT get source. So that is to say if the source of the event is equal to addition, open and close the curly braces. In here, we want to return the result of the operation between value 1 and value 2. That means that we need to declare another integer here. So I will call it result underscore value, and I'm gonna instantiate that by giving it the value of 0. All right. So now, so if the source of the event is the addition button, we will update the value assigned to our result underscore value. We say result underscore value is equal to value 1 plus value 2, and then semicolon. So that's what we need to write. And then we will say if else if. So now in the else if statement here, we are going to determine the other source of the event. Else if EVT that gets source is equal to subtraction, then we will update the value stored in the variable result. So we'll say something like that. Now let's work on the other button, the division button. So we say else if the event is coming from the division, we will operate the division between value 1 and value 2. And then else if it's coming from the multiplication. So we will update the value of result underscore value by operating this operation between value 1 and value 2. So value 1 times value 2. So once we have done that, we need to now reconvert the result underscore value into a string. So in order for it to be able to be outputted in our result text field. When you run here, we have a third text field here, result. So as I told you, the text field accepts string values, but we have done the operations, and these variables are integer variables. So if you want to output them in the text field, we need to convert this result underscore value into a string. So that's what we're going to do. So we will say string result is equal to string. So this is how you convert an integer into a string. So you say string that value of, so the value of method, and then you pass in an argument, and that argument is going to be result underscore value, then semicolon. So now how do you do if you want to output this string result in your text fields? As simple, you simply say result that set text result, then semicolon. This can be a little bit confusing, okay, because as you can see, we are having an error. We will change this string here. So we will say string res, and then we will pass the res like this. All right, so we will output the value stored in this res variable in our third text field. So now when I run, let me say that I type 2 in the first text field, and here I type 4. When I come to my first button and click on the addition button, you see I am having the result showing in the third text field. If I click on the subtraction button, I have -2. If I click on the division, I have 0, because the result is returned as an integer, not a floating number. If I click on the multiplication, I have 8 here. Our program is running. I can come back to my constructor if I want to work a little bit more on the text in my text field. Let me copy this. I'll try to change the font. So I'll come here, number underscore 1. I will say number underscore 1. I'll set its font like this. So here as well, number underscore 2. And as for the result as well, I'll say result. I can change the color of the result. I will say that I want it to be let's say red, for example. So I'll simply say red here, so that when I run, I will type it 20 here, 14. When I click on plus, you can see I need to change something in my code. So I need to change this. Instead of saying label underscore 2, I'll say result like this. So now when I run, so 20 and 8 here, when I click on the plus button, I'm having 28, minus I'm having 12, and the division returns 2, multiplication, it returns 160. So as you can note, if I type in 2 here and then 5 here. When I click on the addition button, it returns 7. On the subtraction button, it returns -3. But when I click on division button, it returns 0 because I don't have the decimal part of the result. Okay, so the reason is because we are using integers. So an integer is a whole number. It does not have any decimal part. So if you want to use decimal part of the number, we want to use decimal numbers in this our small program, we need to change some few lines of code here. So first of all, we have to declare these variables, value 1. Instead of saying int, we will say double, and then we have to convert the string into double. So we will say double parse double. All right. So if you want to convert a string into an integer, we will say integer that parse int. Okay. So if it is double, we say double here that parse double. So now here we will also say that the result underscore value is of type double. And then we can by default assign it a value of 0.0. So all these value 1, value 2, and result underscore value are going to be can be decimal numbers, or you can even write them without using the decimal part. So that here now, when we are going to convert the result underscore value into a string, we will still need to use this line of code, string that value of result underscore value, and then we will set the text of the result text field. So now let me show you what will happen. So if I say 2 for first number and then 5 for the second number, when I click on the plus, now you can see the result is showing a decimal number minus, and then when I make a division, now you can see 0.4, and when I multiply, it says 10.0. All right, guys, so that was it on how you could design or develop this small application where you can make calculations. You have various buttons as well. So I hope this video was informative, and please don't forget to like, to share, and subscribe to this YouTube channel for more videos like this one. Let's meet in the next one.